Definitely medulla, probably medulla.
Okay,
Cortex from here to here. So there's 3 layers to the cortex. All right, that's the adrenal gland. Pancreas. Oh, let me just do the pituitary. Is that part of your list? Good. This is the anterior pituitary and this is the posterior pituitary. This looks like neurons to me. This doesn't look like neurons. It looks like epithelial cells. And that's exactly what the pituitary is made of. The anterior pituitary is made of hormone secreting epithelial cells, and the posterior pituitary is made of neurons. Now, Andrea asked me to do this before and I forgot to do it. The posterior pituitary actually doesn't make any hormones, but it stores 2 of them. It stores ADH and oxytocin. I always ask this. I always make sure you know the posterior pituitary doesn't make its own hormones. The hypothalamus makes ADH and oxytocin, but it stores it in the posterior pituitary. And then the posterior pituitary secretes it when told to. So the posterior pituitary is just a storage site.
Who tells it?
The hypothalamus tells it, yeah. Hypothalamus tells it to secrete them or not. So this is posterior pituitary, also called neurohypophysis. And this is anterior pituitary, also known as adenohypophysis. So pituitary stuff. All right, these are testes. Is testes on there? Good, because we have a whole chapter on them. By the way, these are little sperms forming. Believe it or not, those are little forming sperms. That's what they are, but I'll come back to that in chapter 28. That's not part of this chapter. That's an egg. That's an egg. That's an egg. Egg. All right, these are islets of Langerhans. See these lighter areas here? It's actually easier when you're standing far away from it, I think. Well, I can see a couple of them. It's better on the computer. Right here is an islet of Langerhans. Islet of Langerhans here, probably here, but right there is definitely one. I know I have a really good slide. Oh, here's a great slide. Hey, Mike, they know you're taking over in a few minutes. All right. Here. Oh, you have the boss here.
Yes, I do.
All right, these are islets of Langerhans. Here, here, here. See how they're a different color? So far, pretty easy, right? The adrenal cortex has 3 layers. The medulla is in the center. Islets of Langerhans has these lighter areas. The neurohypophysis and adenohypophysis look different. So the last one is the thyroid gland. That's the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland is wicked easy. It has this amorphous colloid in the center of the follicles. Colloid, 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 colloid. And it has these follicles, this round structure made of cuboidal epithelium is a follicle. These cells right here are called follicular cells. These cuboidal epithelial cells are called follicular cells. This is colloid. This is where the thyroid hormone is. These cells here, in between follicles, are called parafollicular cells. Parafollicular, parafollicular, parafollicular. They make calcitonin. The thyroid gland makes calcitonin. But the C cells, or parafollicular cells of the thyroid, makes calcitonin. The follicular cells make T3 and T4. Tetra and triiodothyronine. Now, who didn't listen to the first lecture yet? You're studying for the test. Yeah, you guys need to get onto that first chapter 18 lecture, because I'm probably saying a lot of foreign words to you. But you'll hear me saying on that first lecture, I'll say all of this. So that's the thyroid right there. Let's see if I have any other thyroid pictures. There's some more thyroid. I zoomed out on the thyroid. Now this you definitely can see the follicle, right? And you can see the colloid, but it's harder to see the simple cuboidal epithelium. So I usually zoom in. I would usually zoom in so you can see the simple cuboidal epithelium. Any questions about that? All right, now keep your cameras running for a second, because I want to show you how I ask a test question. This is how I ask a test question. And I do it on the torsos and I do it on this thing. I will label I will label the, let me get a brain that has a pituitary. I will label the hypothalamus A, the pituitary B, and the adrenal cortex C. And I'll say to you, name the hormone of A, the hormone of B, and the hormone of C that fits that axis. Now, there is only one right answer. And I know you probably think there's more than one right answer, because how could there not be more than one right answer with all of these hormones? So I'm going to ask you a question. There's all of these hormones from hypothalamus, but I want to know one that indirectly affects the adrenal cortex. There's all of these hormones from the pituitary, but I'm asking you for the one that directly affects the adrenal cortex. And then there's all of these hormones in the adrenal cortex, but I want to know the one that's told to be released by the anterior pituitary, because only one of them is. All right, now here's your answer. CRH, ACTH, and cortisol. That's the answer. If you picked another hormone like GnRH, it doesn't go to the adrenal cortex. Even indirectly, it doesn't go there. If you choose TRH, it doesn't go to the adrenal cortex. The only thing that fills that axis I just named is CRH, ACTH, and cortisol. You're going to say, how come not aldosterone? Because aldosterone is a mineralocorticoid and cortisol is a glucocorticoid. Because aldosterone is not told to be secreted by ACTH, it's told to be secreted by angiotensin. I get that that's a really hard question, because you are connecting the dots. So not only am I making you memorize all these endocrine glands, which some of you already know, that's actually the easy part, but I'm also making you memorize all these hormones that are secreted by these different endocrine glands. And I'm making you connect the dots between these axes, these hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis, the hypothalamic pituitary thyroid axis, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. I'm making you connect all those dots. Let's do another one. I label hypothalamus, A, pituitary B, and thyroid gland C. And I say to you, name the hormone from A, and the hormone from B, and the hormone from C that fulfills that axis. The thyroid gland makes two hormones. It makes, well, actually it makes three hormones, T3, T4, and calcitonin. But it makes thyroid hormones and it makes calcitonin. But only one of those hormones fit that axis. So, let me ask you this. Let's go down the wrong pathway. You first say to yourself, I know what thyroid does. It does thyroid hormone and calcitonin. I think calcitonin's the answer. Okay. You choose calcitonin for C. Tell me the hormone from the anterior pituitary that tells calcitonin to be secreted. And the answer is, there isn't one. High blood calcium tells calcitonin to be secreted, not the anterior pituitary. High blood calcium. So calcitonin can't be true because it doesn't fit the ABC axis. Nothing from the anterior pituitary says the thyroid secrete calcitonin. Nothing. High blood calcium does. Okay, not calcitonin. Scribble it out. Ask me for a new sheet of paper. Everything. Now you say, okay, it's got to be thyroid hormone. I couldn't figure out the calcitonin. Okay, thyroid hormone is C. What from the anterior pituitary tells the thyroid to secrete thyroid hormone? TSH. Okay, one more step. What from the hypothalamus tells the anterior pituitary to secrete TSH? TRH. So you would have to take those A, B's, and C's and say A is TRH, B is TSH, and C is thyroid hormone. Hard way to ask it, isn't it? I'm telling you that's how I'm going to ask it. I'm telling you that's what I'm going to do to you.
It's almost worse.
Any questions? Plus, there's going to be easier questions like name that gland, name, and there's going to be easy questions as well. Put a sticker on the adrenal gland and say name the gland, adrenal gland. There will be easy ones, but there's also going to be hard ones that say name that axis. What are your questions of me?
That's for next week.
Yeah, for next week's